Okay, let's dive in. We've got a really interesting source today. It's an excerpt from that recent Chainz interview on Club Shay Shay.
Yeah, that's the one. And it's fascinating because it gives you this like real look behind the curtain. We're not just talking music, really.
No, not at all.
It's the business side.
Yeah.
You know, getting featured, how hits actually get made, those key relationships he has. It's all in there from his perspective.
Exactly. So our goal here is to unpack that conversation. We want to pull out the key stuff, like how did he actually set his value, his price, and what were some of the honestly kind of surprising things going on behind massive songs like Mercy, for instance.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, what can we all take away from his journey about like navigating success, building your worth, staying creative? It's not just rap, is it? It applies wider.
Totally. And the thing that jumps out right away, I mean, it's that story about his feature price. It's pretty dramatic, how it just, boom, reset. He was doing these features, right, and doing them super fast, sometimes for free even at the start.
Right, yeah, he mentioned that. And then he says Kanye West just makes this public statement, just sort of declares it.
Declares that 2 Chainz is now charging $100,000 a verse. $100,000.
Just like that.
That's what he says. And his price, according to him, literally jumped to that $100K right then. He does kind of reflect on it, though, like maybe he could have been charging earlier. But his focus back then was different. It was volume. It was proving his work ethic, you know, his professionalism.
Being the guy who delivers.
Exactly. Delivered fast. Like same day fast. No drama.
That speed thing feels really, really key, doesn't it? He kept bringing it up, how important it was to get those verses back like immediately. It wasn't just about being quick for quickness sake. It was like a statement. I'm committed. I'm professional. Proving his value that way, even if the money wasn't there yet. He kind of acknowledges the risk too, right? That people might take advantage.
Yeah, he does. But for him, it was about building that rep first.
And that rep, that responsiveness, it actually led somewhere pretty big, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Directly to Kanye. Apparently, Kanye was trying to get hold of him through, like, different people.
Okay.
And when they finally connect on the phone, first time ever talking.
Right. You'd expect maybe, what, 5-10 minutes, industry chat?
Nope. He said the call went for, like, an hour, maybe even 2 hours, first call.
Wow, seriously? What were they even talking about?
That's what's so interesting. He said it felt like they'd known each other for years, built this rapport, like, instantly. Talk about all sorts of stuff way beyond just music.
So not just a let's do a trap call. It was deeper.
Seems like it. A real connection forming right there.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, kind of unexpected before a huge collab like that.
Absolutely. And that connection, that call, it leads straight to him getting invited out to LA, right? To that session.
Yeah, the one where Kanye had apparently rented out like a whole floor of a hotel, turned it into a studio complex.
Crazy setup.
So he's there in a room just down the hall. He goes over, lays down a verse. Fairly quick, he called it. His friend Shay tells Kanye, who's on the phone, he knocked it out. And Kanye, surprised, asks him to do another one.
And he does that fast, too.
Yep, knocks that out. This happens like 3 or 4 times. Someone else who was there, Sa, apparently even asked if he'd pre-written them.
Oh, wow.
But 2 Chainz was like, no way. He was just, you know, super motivated in that zone. Wanted to prove himself right there.
Okay, so he's firing off these verses, super quick, high-pressure environment. Now, this is where the Mercy story gets really wild and kind of chaotic.
Totally.
Yeah.
So the very next day after that session.
The next day.
Yeah. He gets a call. Singles dropping tomorrow. Featuring him, Kanye, Pusha T, and Big Sean.
Wait. Tomorrow?
Tomorrow. But get this.
Yeah.
He says he had never heard the finished song.
What?
Not until after he got that call saying it was dropping. When he did his verse in the hotel room studio, the track sounded completely different.
No way.
And the other guys, Pusha T, Big Sean, they weren't even on the version he heard then.
That is absolutely incredible. A massive hit single ready to go, announced for release the next day. And one of the main features hasn't even heard the final cut. What does that tell you about that creative process?
Well, it says a lot about maybe how Kanye was working at that time, right? Maybe chaotic, definitely unique. But clearly it worked.
Clearly.
Chainz said it was only when he heard that final version that he really got the magic Kanye had, putting all those pieces together, transforming it.
Yeah.
It just highlights how these big collabs can change, like dramatically behind the scenes, sometimes right up until the very last minute.
So moving on slightly from just how that track got made, That creative intensity, it seems like it's stuck with him. He talks about his own growth as an artist, right?
Yeah, he does. He feels really strongly that some of his, like, absolute best verses, they're on his newer stuff, his recent projects.
Which is a good sign, you'd think.
Yep.
It means he's still evolving.
Exactly. Not peaked, not burnt out. And related to that, he makes this really bold claim specifically about Mercy.
Oh, yeah, I caught that multiple times.
With total conviction.
Oh.
Says he had the hardest verse on the track, period.
And he even says Big Sean knows it.
Yeah. Which is, quite a statement. It's pure confidence in what he brought to that huge, huge song.
That self-belief is definitely strong. But how does he handle the other side? The sometimes messy business stuff in the industry, especially with people he knows.
Well, the interview touches on that a bit, like controversies involving other artists he's worked with. Big Sean's comments about Kanye and catalogs came up.
Right. And what was his take?
His stance was super clear, very consistent. He doesn't speak on other people's business. Full stop.
Cross a line.
Yeah. Keeps that boundary. Doesn't get involved publicly, even if it's about people he's tight with. It's a specific way to navigate things.
Interesting. Okay, so looking beyond all that, looking forward, did he talk about who he still really wants to work with? Dream collabs.
He did. He mentioned Jay-Z, obviously. Big respect there. But he kind of felt Jay only does features when he's in a certain zone, and maybe he missed that window. But the one he seemed most passionate about, the one he really wants, Andre 3000.
3 stacks.
Yeah. Even knowing Andre rarely raps anymore, he said he's the only one left on his list he hasn't worked with. He just super loves him, admires that unique. He called it almost magical ability Andre has.
To make anything sound cool.
Exactly. To approach things in a way nobody else would even think of. That deep respect for just pure, unique creativity really shone through.
Nice. And just looping back quickly, speaking of big collabs and moments, he did mention the Grammys.
Oh, yeah, briefly. With Chance the Rapper for No Problems.
Yeah.
He flagged that as a really key validating moment for him, which makes sense. Huge milestone.
Definitely. So, okay, let's try and sort of pull the threads together from this deep dive into the interview. What are the big takeaways?
Well, first off, that incredible power of just a public statement, right? How it can just reshape your market value overnight. That Kanye effect.
Yeah. And then there's the whole work ethic thing. That speed. Proving yourself, but also maybe leaving yourself a bit vulnerable.
Definitely that duality.
Yeah.
And then the connection part. How a really deep industry relationship can spark from, like, one surprisingly long phone call.
Right. And we got that peek into the kind of crazy, evolving, almost chaotic way a monster hit like Mercy actually came together.
Plus his own, deep confidence in his art, his growth, and that very deliberate way he handles industry stuff by staying out of other people's business.
And all these insights, it's important to remember they're coming straight from his own words in that interview.
Exactly. Direct source material.
So yeah, it's one artist's story, but those themes, value, hustle, relationships, belief, they resonate way beyond music, I think. Which kind of leaves us with a final thought, maybe something for you, the listener, to chew on.
Yeah, like, think about this. When an artist grinds that hard, delivers that fast, even does stuff for free at the start, is that pure smarts, building value and reputation? Or is it, kind of opening the door for people to maybe take advantage?
It's a tough balance. And maybe tied to that, how much does just believing in your own worth and saying it out loud, like 2 Chainz claiming the hardest verse or Kanye declaring the price, how much does that actually create your reality, your market value in a field like this?
Yeah. How much does the talk shape the walk? Something to think about.